Did you ever have that feeling where you either did something or wore something the first time or ate something for the first time? You're like, wait, is this right? And you kind of second guess yourself a little bit because you really don't know if this is how it's supposed to be. Um, I'm a huge Athleta fan. I've worn them probably, I think I went to my first Athleta store postpartum with my son, who's going to be 11 soon. And obviously the fit has changed since then. But there was a time that I was buying leggings, and the size that probably was right for me was medium. And I would wear these leggings, and I know that I'm not the only one that this happened to, but you wear the leggings, and then as you're walking, they slowly kind of work their way down, and you feel a little bit like a saggy, baggy elephant, like the crotch is hanging a little low. And you're like, gosh, is this supposed to be like this? And a couple of years ago, I remember I was going in and I went into the store and picked out some leggings, and I'm kind of standing out there looking at myself, seeing if they feel right. And this sales associate comes up to me and she's like, you need to buy them in a size smaller, right? What? She's like, yeah, then they won't sag as much. I'm like, wait, you've got to be kidding me. So here I am thinking that this saggy baggy thing is like, okay, this is how it goes. I'm supposed to tell me I'm not the only one here. And she's like, no, you need to wear a size smaller. So since then I have bought my leggings in a small, and I'm not a petite person. Let's just be clear about that. Like, my heritage is Dutch and German. Like, we're thick people. And now I remember the first time I wore them, I felt like I was stuffing a sausage. I'm like, this is no good. Is this how it's supposed to feel? But then when I got to moving around and running in these leggings, they don't do the saggy baggy elephant like hanging down in my crotch anymore. And I had no idea. And so how this relates to postpartum is I have had so many moms just lost and confused. Like, you're feeling okay, and then maybe like week 2 or 3, you feel something and you don't know whether you're supposed to feel like this and this is just what, a couple weeks postpartum feels like, or whether you screwed something up and it's completely irreversible. And of course, what do we all do? We go to Dr. Google and we dive down the rabbit hole, which is bad. Because inevitably we go worst case scenario. Like, I don't know about you, but like, I'm that girl that whatever I find, I'm going to project forward the next 16 years of my life. And I'm doomed. That's just me. And so once you do that, then like, you've got more questions than answers. And like, sometimes you just need somebody to tell you how to get the right fit of your leggings. You need somebody to walk you back from the cliff and say, all right, well, if you feel this, this might mean this. But if you feel this and you do this, then this might be okay. So basically a couple of things. And this is something like more than your friend who just had a baby could tell you, because they might not be able to make sense of this. Is like, how do you, take information and make sense of it, but then also be able to put it in context of all the other things that could possibly be going on? And that's where I think, honestly, the best benefit is of having somebody like a postpartum PT on speed dial. And at least in the DC area here, I've seen a big surge in moms who want to meet with me during pregnancy. They're not having any issues, but they want to prevent issues from happening, or they want to have the best outcome, which I totally get. And we're a little type A here on the East Coast. We want to cover all of our bases, which is great. But sometimes, if you're feeling fine and things are looking fine, great. There's not a whole lot we can talk about other than if you notice A, B, and C, which I usually say are leakage, pain, or pressure, then we need to have a conversation. And then if that mom has a delivery that seems to be okay, great. They start to get up and moving more. But then if something pops up, quite literally, if they do something and then they have a funny feeling, it's so great that they can just pop me a DM or send me an email or just hop on my schedule and be like, hey, this doesn't feel right. And typically it's always right after either like the 2-week postpartum visit or the 6-week visit where they've literally just been told that everything is fine. So it's like me going to Athleta, I'm like, yeah, the medium's totally fine. But once you start walking around, you're like, oh, that's no good. But the one sales associate's like, yeah, that's your size. And the other one's like, no, you need to be in the small one so you don't feel like the saggy bag elephant. And that's what I kind of feel like my job is to put some perspective behind the information. Like, this might be something that you would feel. And if it shows this pattern, then we need to be concerned about it. But if it doesn't show this pattern, then we don't need to be worried about it. And I think just having someone that you know that you can ask a question to that isn't just based on an experience of one person, but it's based upon a lot of experience, a lot of pattern finding, kind of all sorts of things like that. I think that's such a crucial role that I hope that PTs start to fall into. Same thing with postpartum coaches and trainers. Like, if you have somebody that you're working with during pregnancy, they have probably a better sense than anybody, kind of how you tend to move, how you tend to feel, all that kind of stuff. And so, you know, when we talk about how do we improve the postpartum experience, it's how do we change expectations while there's still a chance? How do we make sure that people have somebody that they can ask questions to and not just be blown off and be like, oh no, everything's fine. And you know, and I know that you're not feeling fine. You know, like, let's be clear about that. Like, I knew that those medium leggings were not like that. I don't like feeling like, you know, I've crapped my pants and my pants are hanging down. We need to help moms have access to voices where it's quick and easy. It's not this massive barrier to waiting weeks for appointment. Just like, hey, this is what I'm feeling when I do this. Then somebody has the ability to turn around and ask them some more clarifying questions, and you can get an answer and not have to move forward out of fear, but can move forward with confidence. So that's kind of what I've been thinking about the last couple of weeks, is really, how do we provide women a contact point so they're not turning to, you know, magazines or, you know, whatever pops up on their algorithm. Like, how do we make sure that they have good quality information? And to be quite honest, I mean, that's the whole purpose of this account, is to make sure that there's some good information out there to counter all the other stuff that's kind of fluff. But anyway, would love to hear your thoughts about kind of what your experience was. Like, did you have somebody on speed dial immediately postpartum? Did it take you a while to find that person that you knew would be able to answer those questions and kind of walk you back from the cliff and tell you, you know what, your leggings aren't fitting right, but if you do this, you'll be just fine. So anyway, hop in my DMs. I'm always happy to answer any questions. If you do have questions as far as, you know, how should I start to get back to things? Or if I do this, this is what it feels like. I have lots of resources, happy to point you in those directions. Just always feel free to hop back in my DMs, and I'll answer you right away. Thanks.